D&D fans and Wizards of the Coast are, for once, together on leaving AI out of D&D. But Hasbro CEO Chris Cocks says they need to embrace it. Is there a war coming? Hey there, adventurers. My name is Judd, and this is Short Rest Studios, where we believe fun builds community. If you like this content today, please hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell. AI has already been an issue for WotC and D&D, and let's be real for a minute. It's the future of D&D, whether the fans like it or not. But at what cost? Hold that thought.
I'll be back.
Remember that Glory of the Giants debacle back in 2023? It was such a problem that Wizards released a statement in December of that year saying, "We require artists, writers, and creatives contributing to the D&D TTRPG to refrain from using AI generative tools to create final D&D products." And most of us agreed that was a good thing, with the possible notable exception of Hasbro CEO Chris Cocks. Hasbro, of course, is the parent company of Wizards of the Coast, the publisher of both D&D and Magic the Gathering. It seems like Cocks takes every opportunity to say something like this: "We can leverage 50 years of D&D content to be able to build very interesting and compelling use cases for AI that can bring our characters to life." This self-professed AI bull is like that friend you have who won't shut up about Pathfinder no matter how many times you tell them you don't want to play. I'm gonna get comments about that one. Despite the vocal blowback from fans every time a promotional image for Magic the Gathering or a D&D sourcebook features an AI-generated image, Chris Cocks keeps touting it publicly. And the problem is, he's the guy in charge. It doesn't matter what WotC says. Chris Cocks makes WotC's rules. A good leader will hear input from their people, but at the end of the day, the leader makes the call. And Cocks is so pro-AI, I don't think there's anything anyone at Wizards could say to him to change his mind. There's an inevitable conflict brewing here, and that's where the cost comes in. Before we dig into the cost of it all, let me present you with a hot take. We're not being entirely fair to Chris Cocks when it comes to AI. Hear me out. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying his view seems to be more nuanced than most of the folks on YouTube want to tell you. I think when most of the general public talks about AI, we're thinking about generative AI. Like when you ask Midjourney to create an image of Cthulhu playing in a heavy metal band, or when you ask ChatGPT to write you a story about three guys and their pet chupacabra. I just made those up. I didn't really do those things. There are other kinds of uses for AI. It can be really helpful in doing research or analyzing data, for instance. And a lot of businesses use it that way. It does seem, though, that Cocks is really excited about the generative aspects of the technology. But usually he says things like this, which he said when talking about the people he personally plays D&D with. There's not a single person who doesn't use AI somehow for either campaign development or character development or story ideas. That's a clear signal that we need to be embracing it.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
I'm not even going to get into whether or not I think he actually plays D&D. Hey, if you're getting something out of this video, please consider joining the Adventurers Guild at patreon.com/shortreststudios. You will be integral to keeping the cameras rolling on this channel, and to show you my gratitude, you get access to a guild-only Discord channel, guild member shoutouts, and quarterly adventure seeds, and more. Again, please check out patreon.com/shortreststudios and help me make more fun and grow the Short Rest Studios community. Seems like Cocks is really talking about leveraging AI as a tool for DMs and players, right? Not for official publications. I mean, he specifically mentions using AI to enable user-generated content and streamline new player introduction. But what about this? We need to make sure we do it in a way that respects the creators we work with, respects their works of art, respects their ownership of those works, and also creates a fun and safe environment for kids who might use it. He's talking specifically here about generative AI being used in a way that Wizards of the Coast has publicly come out against, and the cost that conflict will lead to. D&D has a rich history of hiring great artists to do quality work that brings the worlds of the game alive. Writers and designers over the years have created deep lore that still resonates with fans and impacts popular culture today. I don't think Cocks is talking about creating D&D product entirely with generative AI, but that's the inevitable destination of the road he's starting down. D&D is already something different than what it was in 1974, but it will be unrecognizable in this AI-dominated future where artists and writers have no role to play. No one creates in a void. That means every artist and writer is influenced by what came before, but what generative AI does is a different animal. It mines existing works and pieces them together. It has no style or talent or creativity of its own. And that also inevitably leads us to the human cost. We know Hasbro has no qualms about getting rid of people to protect their bottom line. There's no corporation in the world today that does. But we've seen Hasbro lay off 20% of their workforce just before the holidays in 2023 and then tout their profits. They laid off 100 people at the end of 2024. There was talk about streamlining, making teams more efficient, but the bottom line is the bottom line. AI is cheaper than human artists, writers, and game designers. Chris Cocks knows that. The Hasbro shareholders know that. And if they think they can make more money with AI, they will exploit it, even if D&D lost half its fan base. If the profits were higher than the loss, well, they might be okay with that. I love the game of Dungeons and Dragons, but it has increasingly become more than just a single game to me. There are so many other great tabletop role-playing games out there created by real people who are actual fans and understand their product in a way that Hasbro never will. They also understand their fans in a way that Hasbro obviously never will. Maybe it's time we support those independent publishers and creators instead. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time on Short Rest Studios.